don't like that. Greetings and salutations. No one's here yet, so I can get the camera right, get the ambiance and the music right. Greetings. Greetings from Dubai. Max, don't come in here with your handkerchief, but thank you for always engaging. Appreciate you. Happy Friday. Happy Juma. You see, I knew it was coming, guys. Oh, God. I have to keep telling myself there are all different type of people that make the world go round. So thank you for the laugh. You will never see me in a handkerchief or blindfold or gloves. Stella is my inner Stella. Stella, relax. So I think someone is playing catch with their dog and she's losing her mind because she's looking right over the hey, 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 relax. No. I just had to put a little bass in my voice. And I didn't want y'all to hear that. So I had to mute you out. Greetings, everyone. So you even remember when I had on gloves. Wow, it's I'm not doing that, but you enjoy Dubai. All right, guys. So greetings and salutations and welcome back to another Friday Night Frights. This I don't know, this feels like it's like right all out. I don't want it to be too loud. I think that's good. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if the music is not too loud or if you can hear it, or just let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, thumbs this way. Y'all know I love music, so I'm always going to vibe with it, right? Okay. So let's get into this. This evening, welcome to. Okay. So the music sounds good and you can hear me good. So that's fine. Welcome back to another Friday Night Frights. I don't know if you are a true crime addict like myself, and I don't even know if I should say addict, but I'm one of those people that Google things like if I see a movie and it's like based on true events, what? Now I want to read all about what happened. Right? That's just me. I'm like, well, what happened? And are these people real? What happened? And most of the time, the actual story is worse than the movie. I have a surprise for you all next Wednesday. Okay, so let's get into this. I just need to pull my notes up. I'm probably going to have to take my glasses off because my glasses are for long distance seeing, right? But I like the way I look in them, so I put them on. But may have to take them off once I start reading. Come on. Okay, so I haven't used this in a while, so let's see what's going on here. Are you going to let me in? If not, I'm going to have to use my laptop. This sucks. I don't want to, I could use my phone, but I want to be able to see everything. So if you are 15, this is viewer discretion advised. I am I'm telling a story. I'm going to be telling a few stories about true crime, things that actually happen. But if you are 15 and you feel like this may disturb you, then I think you should turn off. You're not going to see any pictures or anything. I'm just telling the story. Okay. But feel free to hop off if you think that this will disturb you. So we're going to be traveling to South, I'm sorry, not South Africa. So it sounds like somebody's dogs are fighting. Now this one is sitting there looking right at the gate. So are they fighting? She turned and looked at me. They fighting? She don't know I can see her. So let me see. What is your name? El Macho. El Macho. Um, True crime is it's it's not a good thing. It talks about true crime is basically what it says, right? The words is true, so it actually happened and it's a crime, right? So true crime can turn out to be bad. And this one is in regards to a man from Kenya. He originated from Kenya. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I appreciate you. I don't even know what that was, but thank you. Let me see. It says Ray Ray. Ray Ray sent 100. It's Joe, but that's my profile name. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so this is not working on my laptop. I mean, on my tablet. So let me just open it here. So we're going to travel to East Africa this evening. We're going to be traveling to East Africa to Kenya. Okay. Now, if you have seen my community page, then you would have seen the pictures of one of the men that we're going to talk about tonight. He's going to be the main feature. His name is Billy Chamirmir. Mir, cat. Mir, Chamirmir. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's what I hear when I just hear his name, Billy Chamirmir. So before we get into this, every time I do a true crime, I try to connect something, right? I try to, and this is not on purpose. It's like I have a title, a catchy title, or something like that. I don't have anything this evening. What I am going to do is I'm going to tell you of a few things that has happened, not this week, but it's on this week's channel, right? These things have happened in the past. When I bring something to you, unless I say this is breaking news, this is happening now, most of the things are true crime past stories. It's just that it has just hit my eyes and ears and my understanding, and because I'm bringing true crime to my channel, I'm bringing it to you. Okay? So let's start off in Kenya. Now, I don't know if you all are aware of this, but as I travel and as I learn about other people's cultures, I find that there are very, and I think I have shared this with you all before, there are a lot of countries that are outside of America where people do not like the police. So when people say, "Oh, well, they don't like the police in America. They don't, da, 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 y'all don't like the police." I'm like, honestly, most countries don't like the police. Maybe Switzerland, right? I do have. Oh my goodness, let me see. Crap, I was supposed to been dropping. Um, Let me do that. I want to drop a question, a poll. So let me see if I can do that. And this just has to do with Africa. Greetings, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. Denise. Okay, so what I wanted to do, I want to add a poll. Okay, now this kind of has to do because we're going to be talking about continental Africans and coming to America, and yeah, how some people think that how they behave in their country, they can behave here. So, like I said, this evening we're going to be traveling to East Africa. We are going to stop in West Africa. Okay, so let's do this. So, this is to it's I guess it's kind of directed to the Black Americans, but anyone can answer, okay? And feel free to put your comments inside the comments in addition to voting in the poll. Okay, so you're visiting, and I'm going to read it out as I'm typing it. So you're visiting a museum, right? Say you're on a tour and you're visiting a museum in a country in Africa, in an African country. So you're visiting a museum in an African country, and your tour guide starts talking about watermelon. So you are visiting a museum in an African country. Um, Let me be specific as to um, what you're visiting in the museum. Uh oh, uh oh. I don't know if it's a certain amount of words, y'all. Hold on, hold on. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna have to shorten it. So you're visiting a museum in Africa, right? You're visiting a dungeon, a slave dungeon. Okay, in Africa, right? And your tour guide brings up watermelon. What are you going to do? And your guide brings up watermelon. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, okay, guys. Give me a second. Evidently, there are like a word maximum. Okay. Uh, so I'm just going to kind of cut things down, and periodically I will speak it the whole thing within the live. Visiting a slave dungeon in Africa. Um, Guide says watermelon. Your reaction. Okay. Okay, guys. This is not working. All right. It's not working. So I think I'm just gonna put it on the page. It's okay. I'm just gonna put it on the page. Now let's get into this. So we're traveling to East Africa, okay? And so I was saying, like in other countries, right? I don't know where you all are around the world, but in other countries, people do have an issue with the police, right? It's not like it's oh, I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. It's not like that in countries and outside of the United States and inside of the United States. I feel like the people and the police, it should be a better um I can put these on, and when I read, I can take them off, right? So I feel like it should be a better connection and a better relationship. Y'all like that? I see the love. Thank you. You like the glasses too? Um, there should be a better relationship between the police and the people. I wholeheartedly believe that, but that's just not the reality. So in East Africa, there was an uproar, an uprise with the police and the people. I'm seeing an uprise in the youth in different countries, and I think that it's just that the youth are just like, we're tired of dealing with generations of poverty. Society is evolving, and we want something better. And some countries in Africa, you see the uprise, they burning things in the street, this, that, and the third. The Gambia is not like that. Recently, the Gambia has been like that. But the Gambia is not a country where it's like, oh, we're going to take it to the streets and we're going to fight this, that, and the third. Do I think it's going to get to that? Yes, because the people are is slowly boiling. The water is boiling, and they are upset with things that is happening in their country. They It's about to be a new election the end of next year, and yeah, but there's also some young people that are some of the youth are out there doing horrible things as well, right? That has nothing to do with politics. They're just drifting in the streets. Some little boy got hit, and his legs had to be amputated. It's like, and the family's a rich family, and they just want to give them $1 million. It's a shame. It's a shame how people do each other. So the youth in Kenya, there was a youth-led protest erupt again in Kenya over police brutality and poor governance. Now, I am a I have a Facebook friend that is in Kenya. And she talks about, when I talk about different things and I post different things about Africa, she does come on there. She talks about East Africa. She talks about Kenya. She talks about the police. She does talk about the interaction with the police. And there was a huge uprise, but this was an amazing picture, right? It was on ABC News, but there was a huge uprise in Kenya. So when we think about Africa, right, and we think about why people are in a desperate need and any way to leave the country and get out. We understand why, because even though some Americans go to Africa and they really do live a great life, you're still going to encounter nonsense and things like that. It's just that the nonsense may not be extremely horrible, right? It may just be little things that you can just deal with. And then some people have horrible experiences like I did the second time my feet touched the continent. The first time was excellent. I went through school, but I was a broke student. The second time I went, I was financially stable, and that's when the ish hit the fan. And I was dealing with African Americans. But um oh, okay, so Donna, okay, let me see. Donna Chamberson says, I love the Atlanta police. Shout out to ATL. When and you know that depending on where you live, that interaction is different as well, right? Because ATL is predominantly African American. So that's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, where I live, when I'm out walking early, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. Um, I want to get back to that. I haven't been doing that in a while. But I noticed that the police look out for me, right? What am I? Why? Because I don't want to get taken at 6 o'clock in the morning. If they see me, they know me, and I'm walking and this, that, and the third, we see each other, right? I wish it wasn't. Um, this interaction with the police and the citizens, right? So how do we fix it? Do we become police? I know these criminals in Africa made me want to be police. Stealing people money, you call the police, you doing this, you doing that, and nothing happens. They made me want to be police. But so that's the interaction. So okay, now we started from East Africa. Let's stop in West Africa, right? Let's stop in West Africa and then we come into America. I'm gonna bring it home. I'm not gonna be on all night because I was on earlier, right? I was on the live earlier. I want to cook. I want to make the falafel. I want to steam my red cabbage, saute my red cabbage. I have a little bit of um stuffing, my sweet potato. I do want to make some food and I might have to do another live later. But anyway, let's stop in West Africa. So recently there was a post on, I think it was called Inside Gambia, right? And they were talking about a Senegalese and a Gambian. Wait. We're stopping in Gambia, but no, technically they are Gambian and Senegalese, but no, we're traveling from East Africa. We're coming to America. We're just dealing with people that have traveled to America from the continent. So it was a Senegalese guy, and they were in Silver Springs, Maryland. hmm So there are a lot of Gambians and a lot of continental Africans in Maryland, not the Maryland side on the Eastern Shore, but the Maryland side close to DC, right? So these were West Africans. In per the story on Inside Gambia, they said that these two were friends. One is a Senegalese, one is a Gambian. They're in the car. They start arguing. They get into an altercation. The altercation was so bad that they had to get out the car and take the altercation to the streets. First of all, what do you think that they were arguing about? You're that angry with your friend? You're in the car and the argument is so bad you have to get out and take it to the streets. Now the argument is so bad that one got to pull out the pow pow and pow pow you. What in the hell? Okay. We know if you're going back and forth or you're traveling or you're reading about the things that's going on in Africa, you're on what's on Gambia, you're on certain sites, you're going to hear of some really seem like psychotic things that are happening. You're just like, what in the heck is it? So I don't know if when it comes to I'm going to talk about pow pow control, right? Because that's a major thing that people in other countries always want to bring into the conversation when it comes to Black Americans. They always want to talk about pow pow, y'all pow pow, y'all pow 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 pow. Okay, let's talk about this because I am a registered carry pow pow owner. Okay, registered. Is there anything wrong with carrying a pow pow? Not in my book. It's my Second Amendment right. I have a right to bear arms. I have a right to protect myself. Now, there are people that say, I'm afraid of a pow pow. My pow pows have never gotten up from their location and said, you know what, sis, let me go handle this. It's the person that you should be afraid of. Now, should everyone carry? It's a right, but it's also a privilege, just like your license. And it can be taken away if you driving on a suspended license, you doing whatever, your license can be suspended and taken away, just like your right to bear arms can be taken, right? Now, with that being said, I don't know if the pow pow was legal, right? They were like, oh, he's an American. No, hold on, right? I can say I'm an American. I do say I'm an Equatorial Guinean American because I know my DNA. But I have at least 4 or 5 generations, right, under my belt of being my parents, grandparents, great grandparents, great great grandparents being born here. I would say at least four, right? Now, this boy is from Senegal. So they need to specify and say he is Senegalese American. They're like, oh, he was born in America. He's first generation. I guarantee you he's a first generation American. His parents were born in Senegal. So I was like, and I said that on in the comments, y'all need to specify that because somebody was like, oh, he's an American. Because one of the things that happens in Africa is when there is a crime inside said country, whatever country it is, the people of that country are quick to say, that wasn't us, that was them. Minding you, it's just somebody that is across the border. It's still your African kinetic brother. Who put the borders there? I don't understand how like Gambians don't like Nigerians. It seems like everybody don't like Nigerians. Nigerians just get the short end of the stick. But I think Nigerians act like Americans, like black Americans. They be like, we don't give a F. We don't care. Y'all don't like us. We don't care. We still gonna do what we gonna do. But there is a negative connotation from the prince and all this other stuff of Nigerians are scammers. But you can't say that all Nigerians are scammers. You can't say that. It's just that Nigerians know that some of their people are doing the most. But I mean, Gambians can say that too. Well, some of our people are doing the most. Kenyans can say some of our people are doing the most. Americans can say, everybody can say that. You know, that's my point. But so I wanted to specify that the guy is Senegalese American. Okay, he is not just because he was born here. He is first generation. There's a difference. It's so funny how people have a child, their child is born in America, and they're like, my child is an American. So you just forget all about your original your original heritage, your original nationality. Now it's just you're just an American. So I always say, okay, so what were you before America was stolen? Then they be looking at me like deer in headlights. They don't know what the hell I be talking about. So, dude is a Senegalese American. They're in the car, blah, blah, blah. You know, they have an altercation. Altercation spills out on the street, and it gets so bad that the Senegalese American takes out his pow, 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 and unalives his friend. What? Why? I would love to be in that courtroom. I would love, love, love. This happened in Silver Springs, Maryland. I would love to be able to be in that courtroom, or if there's a YouTuber or a content creator that is going to be covering that story to find out. And if he pleads guilty, I hope he has to allocute. What? Why? What were y'all arguing about? That you get that angry. Now, let me bring this around because people always want to say there was a conversation between the dude, his name is Enator. He lives in Amsterdam, right? Turned out to be a truck. Jesus, take the wheel. But anyway, when I will have triggers, I have to. So he made the comment like, "Oh, if I come to your home, you're gonna have to get rid of your gun, your pow pows." And I'm like, "What?" First of all, I didn't invite you to my home. Second of all, what makes you think I'm got to get rid of my pow pow? What do they have to do with you? As long as you come here and you don't wow out, you will never see them, right? They are there for my security and my safety. So, but there comes responsibility with having a pow pow, right? Just like there's a responsibility with having license to drive a car. So he says, oh, because you know how women be, they get angry, they get into an argument, next thing, pow, pow. First of all, who behaves like that? Now, this dude is Gambian, okay? He's older than me. He lives, I think he's a rug reeler. I think he's selling them narcotics. That's my opinion. Because so many people that don't have an education leave their country, and if they don't have papers, what are they doing? They selling rugs. Not literally rugs, just add the D to it. So He's Gambian. The person that committed this crime is a Senegalese American, right? And I guess that people in their mind think that, oh, if someone has a pow pow, if they get into an argument, they don't have any self control or self discipline. They're going to pull it out and they're going to pow pow you to. But that's what this dude did. The Senegalese American, that's exactly what he did. So I had to go on there and say some things like, look, oh, these children, one of the women said, these children, they can do Europe. They say Europe. They people don't know the difference between Europe and America. They think it's all one. It's not. It's not. Okay. We don't things as to how we behave in America, people don't behave the same way in Europe. But I think people are just ignorant and they just say anything. So the person was like, Europe is not a place to raise your children. I said, well, you can say that about the Gambia as well. Oh, you can't discipline your children. Well, people told me that they can't discipline their children in the Gambia because the police will come and arrest them. So when I see 8, 9, 10-year olds out in the street smoking cigarettes, what do you say about that, ma'am? But it's easier for me to point out the speck in your eye as opposed to looking at it in mine, right? Yeah. So I guess the basis of this is people need to exercise some self-discipline. That's what this is about. People come to this country and they think that they can do the same thing in their country, that they can do the same thing in this country that they do in their country. And America does not work like that. They need to get themselves an American friend that actually knows what's going on. But how many people look at Black Americans and they're like, shit, they don't know what they talking about. They deaf, dumb, and retarded. This, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. But a Black American gonna keep it G with you. I wish they didn't judge us because this is our country. My ancestors built this country on their backs for free. Yeah. So when people come here and they try to judge an American, I flex on them quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because if I went to your country, say if I went to Kenya, I can't go to Kenya and flex on nobody. I'm not from Kenya. But they flex on us. They flex on us in the Gambia. You ain't African. You ain't this. You ain't that. You don't justify who I am. Boo boo. Better find out who you are and stand on unshakable ground. When I know who I am, can't nobody tell me, oh, you ain't this, you ain't that. Who are you to tell me who I am? Boo. Get a clue, right? So they need to exercise some self discipline. When you do not exercise self discipline, then you pull out your pow pow and you unalive your friend, you throw your life away. Now you're spending either the rest of your life or the majority of your life behind bars in prison. The shame of your family, where your picture, was it the picture? I think it's the picture on Inside Gambia. I think it was the picture of the accused, the suspect that's been arrested. Yes, he is considered innocent until proven guilty, right? But these are eyewitnesses said they got out the car. What were y'all arguing about? So when Inator says, oh, you're going to have to get the gun, the pow pows out of your house if I come there. Like I said, you weren't invited to my home, number one. And number two, I don't know what type of women you deal with, but this is what they talk about when they talk about continental African women. They can be rah, 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 rah. They'll do this to you. They'll, put that girl is poison, 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 right? They'll do that. They'll give you some of that. But then anytime a Black American, anytime they express their feelings, their emotions, this, that, and the third, they're aggressive, right? So I'm like, wait, and I had to educate him. I'm like, so wait, you're sitting here telling me that you think that um I can't have a conversation with you, that I can't use my words, that I'm going to go and get my pow pow and unalive you because we have a disagreement? Who does that? Evidently, I don't know. I see. I'm not from certain. I'm from America, right? I was born here, so even if I go to Equatorial Guinea, I'm not. I wasn't born there. I wasn't raised there, so I don't understand how people think. But this is how some continental Africans behave. They don't know. It's like on MTV. You think you know, but you have no idea. So many foreigners think they know African Americans by looking at TV, by watching, read a book. Read a book by an educated African, not about a love story or gang affiliation or whatever, or rug dealing. No, read a book about who we are, an educated book from I don't want to say from an educated author, just not that type of content. But they look at TV, they look at movies, they look at whatever, they listen to other people, and they think that they know us, and they don't. You emulate us, you dress like us, you choose the most negative ish about us. But what about the Black woman and how educated she is? Okay. So if you are a registered Pow Pow owner, educate yourself. Educate yourself. Do not just think that if you know that in your mind, you're like, look, I'm unstable, I'm not blah, 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 then don't even try to obtain a Pow Pow. I wonder if the Pow Pow was even legal, because these are, I go to the comments and I'm reading it and I'm like, was it legal? I wanted to ask that, was a Pow Pow legal? Because the Gambians are like, you just can't walk in a store and buy a Pow Pow. And I'm like, see, this is what y'all don't know about America, right? Because in certain states, yes, you can. Once I got my license, once I transferred over my license from New Jersey license to Arizona, I was able to go to the gun shows and purchase a gun. And then I love going to the gun shows, right? Now, when they talk about, okay, so I am going to talk about like what people are trying to do about the run laws in America, right? The pow pow guns in the law in America. So in certain states like the South, once you get across that New Jersey bridge, Delaware, your license, that's all you need to go and get a pow pow, right? So once you get down south, Midwest to the West, it's normal to see somebody with a pow pow on their hip in America. That's just, if you're from the north, up north, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. I don't know about Rhode Island, but if you are up in Philly, you're not Ohio. Wait, I think Ohio, yes, they can walk. That's considered the Midwest. I think they can walk around, they can just get a pow pow. But if you're in the Northeast, like from where I was born and raised, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Philly, you not Massachusetts, you not Boston. Massachusetts is the city, Boston is the state. You're not going to just see regular people walking around with a pow pow. You are going to, Alaska is open carry, no license needed. So is Arizona. I love it. I absolutely love it. I walk around and I'm like, she on my hip, baby, right? My 9 milli, my muddy girl. But, and it's like, yes, when I first moved here, I'm like, this dude had like a 45. Yo, that thing was huge in Walmart. I'm just looking at him, just staring. And he turned around and he looked at me. I said, I'm sorry. I'm from the East Coast. This is not, I don't see this, right? I don't see people just, you know, just in just a huge pow pow on their hip, right? And he's like, yeah, you better get you one. You ain't got to tell me twice. As soon as I switched over my license, I got it, right? I got one. I went to the gun show. And here you can have the different type of the slice, you can have any type of self-defense weapon here in Arizona. I freaking love it. Now I know what a white man feels like living in America. I love it. Okay? I never leave home without my best friend, unless I'm going somewhere and I know I can't take it. Me and my mom went to Vegas and I wanted to stop at the Hoover Dam and they was like, any guns in the car? And I'm like, yeah. She said, okay, go up there. He was like, yeah, no guns on federal land, ma'am. I said, oh crap. But if I'm in a car and I'm driving and yes, I'm taking my pow pow with me because the world is getting worse and worse. So, but there has to be some type of responsibility, right, Eliza? There has to be some type of, you don't just go and buy a pow pow and then just you a hot head and you get into arguments and you thinking, some people will tell me like, I'm not, I don't need one because I get angry quickly. And I'm like, yeah, then you don't go and get one then, right? But it's crazy how people think that we're just running around here just like psycho crazy, whatever, pow pow, just pow powing each other. And it's like, do you not understand that when you are seeing, people unaliving each other, that isn't um like a what do you call it, an innocent bystander situation? These people are living high risk lifestyles. They're selling rugs, they out there rimping, right? They doing things that normal working people are not doing. But how many people really sit back and think about that? Especially like even people that live overseas in the Gambia, the things that they say, oh, Black Americans this, Black Americans that. And I'm like, how do y'all feel like y'all know so much about Black Americans and you are just now being exposed to Black Americans as much as you are now? How do you think you know so much about us? Because the average person that is a working person, a law abiding citizen, their pow pow is registered and they have the common sense and the willpower to not just take it out because they're in an argument and just pow pow you to unaliveness. Y'all know why I'm using the vernacular that I'm using. You know what I mean? So let's bring it to Billy Chamirmir, right? Name sounds very funny. Billy Chamirmir. Now, y'all, if y'all looked at my community page, then you will see what Mr. Chamirmir looks like. Okay. Now, Billy Chamirmir is a hot ASS mess. Let's just start there. But let's talk about Chamirmir's upbringing, where he started off at. Eliza, so many people have so much stuff to say about Americans, but they have no idea who we are. They have no idea. So, Billy Chamirmir, his story is very interesting, guys. I need to get comfortable. Oh, my hip. This hurts. Oh. This is the most I have sat on my couch. This is the most I sat on my couch since I purchased it. I just never really sat on my couch in the other house. I just wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable there. Okay, so all right, so let's start here. So Billy Chamirmir, he was born and raised in Kenya before immigrating to the United States in 2003. This is where he built a career as a caregiver. Now, his early life in Kenya, the family background was he was born in Kombonyoni village, a suburb of Eldama Ravine, in December of 1972. Excuse me. Chamirmir was one of up to 29 children. Yes, you heard that correctly. From one to up to 29 children from his father's three wives. His father, Joel Chamirmir, was a prominent senior chief and a wealthy farmer. The wealthier you are in Africa, the more wives you have, right? Okay. So 29, let's say 30 divided by 3, they all almost gave him about 10 children. So his upbringing, he grew up in a traditional rural setting and was raised in Solai, Solai, where he completed his primary and secondary schooling. Primary and secondary schooling is basically elementary and high school. Secondary, I think, is high school. His early work in interviews, Shamir Mir claimed to be a good student and began his work as a caregiver in Kenya, looking after his own elderly father who lived to be 100 years old. Wow. Sources close to the family described him as an introverted loner. This is his behavior, but also generous to fellow villagers, right? I'm going to say this. Even if a person is a sociopath, in Africa and in Latin countries and Pakistan, any country outside of America, we have a little bit more free will and will, and we have a little bit more free will is what I'm going to say. When you go to third world countries, people have to listen to their elders no matter what. Back in the day, it used to be like that. Now we have evolved, and you know, some of my elders tell me things in life, and I'm like, okay, I listen, but I'm gonna make my own decision. And honestly, I'm happy that I made my own decisions in certain things, because if I would have listened to them, I wouldn't have the life I have now. So in the end, that's why I say you can listen to people, but you have to make your own decision. They're just giving you an opinion, right? So so that's when they say he was generous to his fellow villagers. You have to, when you're in Africa or you're in that country, you have to abide by said rules, right? So you don't bring shame to the family. Once you leave and you get to Europe, America, or outside of that country, then you can kind of do what you want, right? So now there was alcohol use, right? It says that problems with alcoholism reportedly led his two elder sisters who lived in the US and owned nursing homes to arrange visas for him and two of his brothers to move to the United States. Now, I'm going to get back to that because I'm going to elaborate more on that. Okay. So that's how he immigrated, him and his brother, because it was like 29 of them, right? So who knows of which sister, if it was the sister of a sister wife, right? I guess they all were one, but they brought the two brothers for him and wait, three. So it was for him and two of his brothers to move to the United States. But it was because they had problems with alcoholism in Kenya already. So you already have issues with addiction, and to heal you, instead of getting some help there, they bring you to America, but they don't put you in an alcoholism program. What do we think is going to happen? Okay. So, so let me go to, wait, what happened here? I don't know what happened here. What happened here? So I want to, I don't, okay. All right. I need you to make this bigger. Okay. So give me 1 second. I want to elaborate on the family. Okay. So let me just elaborate on the family and the sisters bringing him here. I found it. So Billy Chamirmir, his sisters ended up in the United States after immigrating there sometime before the late 1990s and the early 2000s, right? So they established themselves in North Texas and became successful, eventually owning and operating several senior living and nursing homes in the Dallas area. Now, they were smart with that because a lot of the CNAs we know are foreigners, right? Jamaicans, Haitians, Africans. So for them to open up something like this, which is a very lucrative business. So with it being 29 of them, I don't know how many sisters it was, but they ended up being extremely successful in the Dallas area, the Dallas, Texas area, by owning and operating several senior living and nursing homes. That was money. So their success in the healthcare industry and stable life in the U.S. allowed them to help their younger brothers. including Billy. They were able to help their younger brothers, including Billy, move to the country, to the United States. They secured their necessary visas for Billy and the two other siblings to immigrate to the United States, like I said, in 2003, reportedly due to concerns about their brother's alcoholism problems in Kenya. So this is from two different sources. So they were, and to fix the problem, it said, let me bring them to America. That's not going to fix anything. That's when people are having problems in their relationship and they want to bring a baby into the world. That's not fixing anything. Okay, so upon arrival, Billy initially worked at his sister's right, nursing home, gaining the experience and senior care that he would later pervert for his crimes. He eventually cut ties with his family and work freelance as an in-home caregiver and car salesman. I would love to know what happened with that, right? He cut ties with the family. Maybe the family noticed the weirdness in him. So he initially worked at his sister's nursing home in North Texas, like I said, where he gained experience. Um, he often used the alias Benjamin Koitaba, Koitaba, for some positions. So, okay. Now, he cut ties with his family, worked as a freelance in-home caregiver, and also sold cars. But now why are you getting jobs under a false name? Benjamin Koitaba for some positions. Why? Why aren't you using your actual name, Billy Chimirmir? Right? Why did he cut ties with his family and stop working at the nursing home? Was he doing weird stuff then? There's a reason why he was doing things in an assumed name. People use assumed name and use aliases when they want to do crimes. Right? Kwesi and Jai, y'all, one of the contracts for Invest Relocate Africa with Kwesi Boyd and Art Kathy Hills Vacation Properties. Kwesi has the name as Kwesi and Jai. I'll show y'all. What did I just say? People do business under aliases when they're trying to cover up in their criminal, right? They done something they trying to hide. Y'all know my name. But how many times is Shrek name said is she's gonna get the video taken down? Okay. Made my point. Okay, so personal life and legal troubles. Okay. Oh, okay. So let me see if I want to get into this right now. All right, so that's that. I covered that. Okay. Okay, I haven't covered that. Haven't covered that. Haven't covered that. Okay, so let's get into this. Let me cover this part right here. So now we're going to talk about Billy Chimirmir's personal life and legal troubles. So he married an American woman in 2004. Which that happens, right? They come here and so many women like, oh my God, I want a husband. And you end up marrying a serial unaliver. Okay. So he married an American woman in 2004, but she filed for divorce 2 years later. She saw his weirdness after being unable to locate him. Before the murders began, because, okay, so let's talk about, I don't really understand the visas, but if the sisters brought him over, they eventually, if the sisters brought the brothers over and they're working, eventually they have to renew their visa, right? It's going to expire. So most of the time, what do people do? They try to go and get married. Maybe that's why Trump didn't up these visas. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. I have a video for that too. So before the unalives began, okay, so like I said, his personal life and legal troubles. He married an American in 2004, but she filed for divorce 2 years later after being unable to locate him. Before the unalives began, Chimirmir had a criminal record that included arrests for driving while intoxicated, so driving under the influence, in 2010 and 2011, and a violent, oh my gosh, assault on a girlfriend in 2012. Okay, so he's showing signs of he hasn't changed with them bringing him over from Kenya. This was in 2012, so that was a violent thing against his girlfriend, which he received a 70-day jail sentence, right? He was also arrested for criminal trespassing at a senior living facility in 2016. Criminal trespassing? Why are you hanging out at a senior living facility? That's weird. A key location where he later committed several unalivings. Okay, so now let's get into this. So Chamir Mir was born. Oh wait, hold on. Chamir Mir was born. He was born December 8th, 1972. Okay. So now let's talk about what he did. Let's talk about what he did. Okay, so I did that. Um all right, so let's get into this. Now, I don't know if you all are aware, but People Magazine has really expanded. People Magazine used to just be a magazine. It's showing pictures, it's doing, what do they call it? Covers for different people, this, that, and the third. People Magazine has expanded to true crime, and they have a TV show on the ID channel. So People Magazine covered this investigation. It's called People Magazine Investigates. So they did an episode titled "A Serial Unaliver," or serial, the K word, right? Plural, playbook. So a serial unaliver's playbook, right? So the key details from People's Magazine coverage is Billy Chamir Mir, a former healthcare worker, was accused of unaliving 22 elderly women in Dallas and Collin counties, Texas, between 2016 and 2018. So the modus operandi is he allegedly posed as a maintenance or healthcare worker to gain access to upscale senior living facilities. Now, unfortunately, with his sisters following their dream, he learned the insides and outs of working at a senior living care facility to make his crimes a reality or easier for him. So he posed as a maintenance or healthcare worker to gain access to upscale senior living facilities and homes, right? So where he would cover the SM word, smother, his victims with a pillow and steal their jewelry and valuables. Many unalives were initially ruled as natural causes due to the victims' advanced ages. Stella, cut it out. Cut it out. All right, so this is that one. Okay, so let me just give you a little evidence, okay? So, like I said, people just, they were initially the unalivings or the deaths of these elderly people. People thought that they were just dying from natural causes, right? So because of their advanced age. So now let me just tell you the ages of these victims, which is absolutely insane, right? So he was indicted for the unaliving of 22 elderly women in North Texas between 2016 and 2018. He was convicted of the unaliving of 2 women, Lou Thigh Harris and Mary Brooks. The remaining charges were dismissed after his convictions due to the sentencing, right? Ensuring he would be unalive in prison. So I'll tell you about the convictions. So 22 people, I'm not going to say their names. The majority of them they were all in Dallas. So I think one of the places were called Edgemere. the traditional Preston Wood. But when I was seeing the people, the family members, these people have money. Okay, these weren't poor old white women. These people had jewelry, they had money, and Shamir Mir took advantage of that. But another thing is Caucasian people and other people are more welcoming to foreign continental Africans than African Americans, right? That's true. Okay, so the youngest one was 82. So two were 82, 83, 86, 85, 87. Another one was 82, 84. One was 79. One was 75. One was 80, 81, two 81s, 82, 80, 87, 90, 93, 90, 92. Is the oldest one 93? Nope. There was a 91-year-old and a 94-year-old. Okay. So Shamir Mir was targeting people of a certain age. So the youngest was 75 and the oldest was 94. So in reality, no matter what happened or what he did, these people were never able, they weren't going to be able to protect themselves, right? So two of the women survived his attacks, and a 93-year-old unnamed woman in Frisco and a 91-year-old Mary Bartell. So the 93-year-old unnamed woman survived his attack, and 91-year-old Mary Bartell. Remember that name, Mary Bartell, whose survival and report led to his arrest, right? Okay, so now let's get into this. Okay, so his crime spree, the arrest, his crime spree was uncovered after a 91-year-old woman, Mary Bartell, survived an attack in 2018 and reported it to the police. This is where it gets good. Okay, so let me see. All right, let me see. Okay, so let me tell you this. Okay, let me go into this. So Billy Chamirmir was a convicted unaliver, serial unaliver, who targeted elderly women. Okay, so in Dallas and Collin counties, I told you that. Still their valuables. Okay. So the pattern was only discovered after a 93-year-old woman survived an attack in 2018 and reported that incident to the police, leading them to Chamirmir, right? So, okay. So, all right. So let's go back to this one. Okay. So it looks like there's kind of two women survived the attack, a 93-year-old and a 91-year-old. Now it says his crime spree was uncovered after a 91-year-old woman, Mary Bartell. So it's 91, 93. It looks like there's a discrepancy, but someone survived the attack in 2018 and reported it to the police. Shamir Mir was later arrested after being spotted with a distinct red jewelry box. There are pictures. If you saw the show, there are pictures of this red jewelry box, and the child of the mother said that that's her mom's jewelry box. So it contained documents linking him to another victim, which was Lou Thigh Harris, the other woman that survived the attack. And he was convicted of the capital. No, I'm sorry. Lou Thigh did not survive the attack. He was convicted of the capital unalivings of Lou Thigh Harris and Mary Brooks and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So because he got life in prison without the possibility of parole for two of the unalivings of two women, they did not bother to Texas. That's natural death, right? You the only way you coming up out of that prison is in a pine box, right? So, or in a body bag. So they didn't bother to go ahead and try him for the rest of the cases because he was in prison for the rest of his life. Okay, so all right, so let me get to this. Okay, so we're getting there. All right. So okay, so let's get to this. This is the key evidence that linked Shamir Mir to these crimes. So Shamir Mir was linked to the string of unalivers through a combination of crucial evidence that began with the survival of one victim and the subsequent police investigation. So, a survivor's account. That's the initial break-in case came from 91-year-old Mary Annis Bartell, who survived an attack in March of 2018 at her Plano independent living community. So, the independent living community, you have your own home, you may have your own apartment or whatever, but basically there are people that work there, but it's a living facility for the older people, right? So that way they're taken care of, but they can still live independently. And most of them are very expensive. I've been to a few out here doing Instacart. I have some videos for that. I said, damn, this is where I want to live. So she told police a man forced his way in, tried to her face with a pillow, and stole her jewelry. She provided a description of the assailant and, crucially, a description of his vehicle, a silver Nissan Altima. So I told y'all about the jewelry box. So the arrest in the jewelry box, based on the vehicle description and other reports, police tracked Shamir Mir down and arrested him the following day in the parking lot of his apartment complex. Before his arrest, officers saw him throw a red wooden jewelry box into a dumpster. That was the funny part. They were already watching him. They were watching him. Inside, they were watching him for some time because they suspected him, but they just didn't have any hardcore evidence linking him to this. He was good until he wasn't. Inside the box, the police found documents that led them to the home of 81-year-old Luthi Harris, where they found her unalive. Excuse me, also with a pillow. That was his MO. I guess that's what he did. So physical and forensic evidence. The stolen goods. The police found a jewelry and cash in Shamir Mir's possession at the time of his arrest. Pawn shop records were later used to show that he had frequently sold jewelry belongings to several other victims over a period of 2 years. Now, what's crazy is I saw the police interview with him, and he literally was saying like, oh, I do this online, I sell jewelry, I do this. Where are you getting the jewelry from, my ninja? So they're asking him, nothing he can't answer it, right? He doesn't he cannot answer it. And yeah, they just came out and said, hey, we know who you are, we know what you did, blah blah blah. He still denied it. DNA evidence was recovered. In some cases, including Shamir Mir's DNA evidence, DNA on gloves found in his car and on a pillow used in the attack, which matched the victim's DNA. A set of keys found in Shamir Mir's possession after his arrest were found to unlock Luthi Harris's front door. So he was not only a criminal, but he was a stupid criminal. How you keeping evidence and stuff? Surveillance video and cell phone data from the senior living facilities and stores like Walmart showed Shamir Mir stalking his victims. You did see that there were videos. There were a few older women just walking into Walmart. Sometimes he was caught in the frame with them. Like, he was just stupid. But you don't know America, do you? You don't know how many. Everybody got rings, so every step is under surveillance, right? But he didn't realize that. So cell phone data also further placed his device in the vicinity of the victim's home or facilities around the time of their unaliving. Pattern recognition. Once Shamir Mir was in custody, a multi-agency task force re-examined hundreds of previously uninvestigated unalivings of elderly women, which had been ruled as a natural death. And evidence pointed to a consistent pattern: elderly victims living alone in an upscale facilities or homes, unalive with a pillow and their jewelry stolen. So, good old police evidence once they found out, once someone told them. One of the women, I think she was saying that her sister passed away from cancer, and the sister wanted to be cremated, and the sister bought these angels, these guardian angels for her sister, and the mom. And the mom never took hers off because that was, and then it was terminal cancer, so the daughter died, right? So the mom never took hers off, but when the mother was found unalive, that jewelry was gone. And the sister was like, but she never takes that off, right? So it wasn't until Mary Bartell was found, and she survived the attack, Thank God she survived the attack. Now, what's crazy is Mary did pass away before the case and everything, but because they videotaped her statement, they were able to use that in court. So, the details of the case, I think I did this. Okay, so the conviction, right? There is, wait, there, I have her statement of what she said, of what Mary Bartell said. When she opened the door, she said that um when she opened the door and she saw that he had on green gloves, she said in her mind, she was like, I shouldn't have opened up this door. She said she tried to close the door, but she's like, I'm 90 some odd years old, right? He's a young man. He overpowered her. Um, and that was basically the end, but she did not pass away. And that's the great thing, that she didn't pass away, because they would never had found him if she, I guess he thought that he had unalived all of his victims, right? So like I said, he was convicted of the unaliving of Lou Thigh Harris in April of 2022. And then the 87-year-old Lou Thigh Harris was 81. And then Mary Brooks was 87 in October 22. For the two convictions, he receives 2 life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. So with that sentence, it was guaranteed that he was never getting out. Dallas County prosecutors dismissed the remaining murder cases after securing 2 life sentences, while Collin County prosecutors chose not to pursue the death penalty for their 9 indictments, leaving those cases also effectively concluded. So now let's get into this. I am missing something. So he said that he is not a unaliver. He said a capital unaliving suspect who police believe murdered at least 24 elderly women is speaking out from his jail cell. He says he will be acquitted. So one of the things that the police said about Billy Chamir Mir was the fact that he was extremely cocky and confident. He was like, I didn't do this. And I what's crazy is, yes, Americans and other nations do that. If there are question about something of them unalive and so on, they would say they didn't do it. But what really got me with him, and it brought me back to as a trigger for continental Africans, me being in the Gambia, West Africa, was how people will sit right in your face, and these people are alhamdulillah, and it's like, lie right to your face. My lawyers, the dude that robbed me, just lie right to your face. And then sit there like, I mean, Renee Marcus's brother was interrogated for 2 hours. The police said we interrogated him very strongly for 2 hours. They did not do the way they did mile 2 to that American, and they cut off his locks. They didn't do that, because that's what not serious crimes, anti-crimes anti-crimes, if they would have went to anti-crimes. But that's why I say in the Gambia, it's better to not have any security unless you pay in G4S. G4S at that time was about $200 a month for 12-hour, not 24-hour, because most of the time nobody's home for 24 hours, but for 12-hour service, 12 hours. Oh, it was like $230. I would think that was worth it, because some people were charging $200 a month for security, and they were bumpsters off the street. They never made that much money in their life in the Gambia. Right, Renee Marcus's brother? So now what happens is, if you're hiring, G4S is a US company. So if you're hiring G4S to be your security, then they have insurance. So God forbid something happens, you get paid. Now, some people may say nothing works with the insurance. Yes, it does. I had to put in a claim for my car and it worked. Now the person was lying. I told the insurance company, they still paid out because they can't believe that a Gambian is a lying, cheating, scamming piece of crap. No, Gambians don't do that. So Gambians is above being human. Get the out of my face. But yeah, so they'll sit there and I didn't do that. I swear before God, Alhamdulillah, mashallah, I didn't do that. And I'm like, wow. So that's what reminded me when I saw his interview. I'm like, this damn dude. Oh wait, what happened? I was in my okay, I gotta go back to it. Oh no, how much power do I have? Uh-oh. I don't feel like getting that charger. Okay, I have 30%. I should be good. Okay, so I have exactly what she said, but I don't know where it is. Okay. So she, like I said, she did give an account. Maybe I didn't get to it yet. But she did say as soon as she saw those green gloves, she said she knew that she shouldn't have opened the door. Okay. All right. All right, so this must be it. Okay, so let me get this. Now, what's crazy is he was in Texas, right? So think about as an American, maybe foreigners may not understand this, but think about this. If you were an American and you are in Texas and you kill all of these old white women, what the hell do you think is going to happen to you? You think they don't have the Aryan Nation and the Brotherhood in prison? It's in all prisons, right? So the family got a phone call. One of the women got a phone call about her mother, and it said Billy Chamirmir has been unalived by his cellmate. Do. The woman said, I hope he was scared, and I hope he was as scared as my mother. They didn't care. He unalived their mother. They did not care. So now let me tell you about the um the person that did that to him. So he was unalived by his cellmate. Billy Chamirmir's cellmate was Wyatt Ellis Busby, Busby. At the time of the unaliving, Busby was serving a 50-year prison sentence for a different unaliving. Details of Wyatt Ellis Busby sentence. So Busby was convicted of a 2016 fatal. So I guess that's what he do, right? He used the knife of a man in the Houston area. So he was sentenced to 50 years for that unaliving. So time served when he unalived his cellmate Shamirmir in September of 2023, which just hit 2 years. Busby was approximately 7 years into his 50-year sentence. His current status is Busby has a maximum sentence date extended to December 30th, 2066, and a parole eligibility date of December 30th, 2041. He knew that he was doing the rest of his life in there anyway, right? So the Dallas County District Attorney indicated that Busby allegedly unalived Shamirmir after Shamirmir made inappropriate comments about Busby's children. Authorities have not publicly indicated if Busby will face additional charges for Shamirmir's unaliving. Now, if they don't charge him anymore, I mean, he doesn't have life. He's serving 50 years. So, depending on how old he is, he may get out. And if they don't charge him for Shamirmir's death, he might be an old man, but he may still get out. So, let's talk about I mean, in my opinion, I'm just going to say that I think that maybe somebody said, hey, you're doing 50 years anyway. Do you want to handle that? And we'll put money on your books. You think that that wouldn't happen? I mean, Dylan Roof, they didn't pay for his defense and putting money on his books for what he did, and his what he did was unwarranted. What this dude did was unwarranted as well. So yeah, he was unalive. He was unalive by his cellmate. By his cellmate, Wyatt Ellis Busby. So um Shamir Mir, he was 50, was found unalive in his cell at the H. Cofield unit in Tennessee Colony, Texas. On September 19, 2023, an investigation by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice determined that his cellmate, who was also serving an unalive sentence, was the assailant. He was the assailant. A report stated that that Shamir Mir was unalive with a knife edge instrument and unalive of blunt force trauma as well. So they use it, I guess, a shiv, and then I don't know what they use for the blunt force trauma, but they fixed him. But see, this is what I say. Um, what people don't understand is you can't do certain things that you do in your country and think that, oh, I can come here and I can hide behind um I have rights here. You know, foreigners are quick to say that, and people do have rights. We do have rights here. But what Shamir Mir didn't realize is what he did was he unalived a bunch of elderly Caucasian women in Texas. See, the thing is when you're not from here, you don't really understand certain things about America. Texas is not a place where you want to mess with a bunch of, oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Because I was like, I know I read what she said. Um, I'm gonna read this real quick. But so it is, I might share the I'll share this. I'll share the video of her. It says elderly woman survives serial unaliver's attack. I'll share that on my community page. And she was a strong woman telling her story in the hospital bed. But let's see. This is how the police tracked him down as he was preying on the elderly. Mary Bartell, 91, was an early riser. On the morning of, this is what happened with Mary. So, and this is People Magazine. So, on the morning of March 19th, 2018, the feisty grandmother woke up at 4:30 a.m., took her blood pressure, and then went for her daily walk around the grounds of the Preston Place Retirement Community in Plano, Texas. She then drove to a 6:30 a.m. church mass before returning to her first floor apartment she once shared with her husband before he passed away. Bartell was at her computer writing an email when she heard someone incessantly knocking on her door. I opened the door and I saw this man with his green rubber gloves on, she later told authorities. I tried to push back, but I'm 91 years old and he is young and muscular. Well, I was saying masculine. He's young and muscular, and he just said, "Don't fight me, just get on the bed." He had, I don't know, like when I read things like this and hear about stories, I'm like, these people are psychotic. They have to be in a different mental status to go to you must have been following her. You go to her house, you knock on her door like you're in such a hurry. Open the door, open the door, open the door. She opens the door, she see the gloves, and you push your way in and you say, go and get on the bed. Don't fight me, just get on the bed. Fearful, Bartell complied. The man then grabbed a pillow and attempted to Unalive her, smother. The horrific story is the subject of the upcoming episode of People Magazine Investigates titled A Serial Unaliver's Playbook. Okay. So, and this just, it just, that's why I just saw it. It was new, November 25th. November 25th. It just aired. It premiered. So she said, I felt as though I could not breathe. I thought I would die. I'm not afraid to die, but I didn't want to die that way. Convinced that Bartell was unalive, the man stole some jewelry before fleeing the retirement complex. One thing I have learned, God forbid if I'm ever in that situation, act like you are unalive. Act like you're unalive. When Bartell didn't show up to her exercise class, a friend stopped by to check on her and found her unconscious but still breathing. As she was transported to the hospital, she regained consciousness and told authorities about her brutal ordeal. Ultimately, the attack on Bartell changed everything for law enforcement. Before the attempted unaliving of Bartell, more than 6 women had died at the same retirement complex, the same one. None of these directors, nurses, supervisors, none of them thought anything wrong. Nope. But police assumed that they had that they died of natural causes. The same day of Bartell's attack, police learned of another suspicious unaliving, Ann Coughlin, 82, who lived in an apartment across the hall from Bartell. She was found unalive in her apartment by her daughter. Her ring and watch were missing. Police canvassed the complex and learned that the son of a resident reported a stranger loitering in the parking lot a few days earlier. The witness had written down a license plate for the stranger's Nissan Altima. Investigators ran the license plate number and discovered the vehicle was registered Billy Chamirmir, a former healthcare worker who moved to the United States in 2003 from Kenya. The following day, on March 20th, Shamirmir was arrested in the parking lot of his Dallas apartment complex after authorities watched him toss into a dumpster a distinct red wooden jewelry box with Asian markings. Y'all remember the jewelry box? Legal papers found in the jewelry box tied him to the unaliving of 81-year-old Lou Thai Harris, who was also smothered unalive with a pillow in her bedroom. So that's that, right? Somebody said an eye for an eye. So good karma will find you. Shame on the medical professionals who didn't give these women a second thought. They say they pray that he gave his life to God before he met a horrific end. So one of the things I'm not going. This is just my personal thing. It's like with Christianity, they say that if you they say with Christianity, if you, no matter what you do, if you ask for forgiveness just before you die, then you go to heaven. But I find that contradictory because they say whatever you do in this life that you will be judged. So you're going to go to heaven, you're going to be judged, and then you're still going to go to heaven. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't understand that. But um, even though she passed away. Wait, where's the link? Even though she passed away, it was good that they were able to use um her interview. I'm putting this on YouTube for you all now. Um they were able to use her interview, and once they started canvassing and then they got the license plate, they were able to follow Shamir Mir and surveil him and get the evidence. But I implore, if you have a foreign friend and you see them going sideways or whatever, or you have a platform like, so there, people are so quick to talk about Americans, right? You in our country, you want to talk about what has been going on, this, that, and third. Heaven is a fragment of your imagination. I'm not going to get into that, but Yes, I'm not going to get into that, right? People think differently about heaven and hell. I just, without me going into my personal beliefs and people thinking I'm crazy and stuff like that because of what I believe or whatever, I just use the regular heaven, hell, black people. Like I don't identify as black. What's black, right? So, but I just use the regular vernacular or the language that people understand so I don't confuse people, but I understand what you're saying. So, and I was just reading a comment. I was reading a comment from the article. But people need to understand that being a foreigner and coming to America or going to Europe, things are not the same. And things that you do in your country overseas, you may not get away with it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get away with it here. Number one, we have DNA. Number one, number two, everything is on camera. So see no evil. We're going to see everything. The Ring camera. Everybody has some type of surveillance. Um, everybody has one of these, right? Unless you cut your phone off or you leave it home, they're going to try. They're going to get a warrant and they're going to triangulate and track your phone. And most people grab their phone without thinking, right? Because if you on autopilot and you just unalive somebody or you going to unalive somebody, I don't think you're not in the right state of mind. So the little things is how people get caught. But in the Gambia, there isn't DNA. There's no DNA. So this dude is coming from Kenya. He thought that he could do all this and get away with it. Too bad he didn't learn more about the healthcare system, working in the healthcare system to really understand what is what. Well, he was going to get life in prison without the possibility of parole, but his cellmate, who is probably, let me see what Billy Cyrus, let me see, his name is Billy Ellis. Let me see if I can see his name. Not Billy. What was his name? Something Ellis. What was his name? Let me see. Something Ellis. Wyatt Ellis. Wyatt Ellis Bisbee. Billy Chamirmir. Chamirmir. Okay. I want to see the pic. Oh shoot, y'all. Yo, his what's the name was black. I always thought it was a white man. I thought that was a white man's name. You know what's funny? The surname Bisbee. I was gonna say, wow. I wonder if he was related to Shishi B Shalette, right? How that's her surname is Bisbee, Busby. So yes, Wyatt Bisbee is a black man. Yep, he's a black man. Wow. Wow, I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I expected a white man. I really did. Y'all heard what I just said. Like, this is a revenge unalive. And no, that was a black man. Wow. I still sit with, and I agree with, um, my assumption of somebody paid and said that we're gonna put this on our books. We're gonna take care of you if you do this. I still believe that. I still believe that. But yeah. So he was killed by a black American. Okay. It was not a Tubab that unalived him. I'm surprised. I am surprised. So I didn't expect that. So let me see. All right, so I copied this and let me put this on my page, on my post. So people need to understand that when they come to America and you are a foreigner, you can't do what you can do in your own country, because what will happen is you may end up spending you thought you came to America. Oh, I'm gonna have a better life. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Then you realize how hard it is, right? You realize that your money tree is not in your backyard, and you have to work. And then you're living in a country where you really don't understand the language, especially if we speaking fast. You don't understand the culture. You want to judge people as opposed to really trying to understand what's going on in this country. But if we came to your country, the first thing you would tell us is get with a Kenyan so they can show you around. You don't ever get with an American that's black to show you around, do you? No, y'all would rather, people like Shamir Mir would rather judge or whatever, and then you end up in prison because you do something that is absolutely idiotic, bringing shame to your family. Everybody in Dallas that is his sisters, I guarantee you they know his sisters in that area. Your brother did this. He brought shame to the family. But he was also unalived, and karma tore his behind up. But I would love to write Wyatt and say, so what made you unalive him? Did someone pay you? Did Who's putting money on your books? Is it the family members of the 9 people that did not get justice as far as with court? Or is it the ones that the 2 that got justice? Or is it a collection of all of them? But yes, guys. Okay, Stella. We're going. We're going. My everything is dying on me. Um Thank you guys for joining me with this live. Thank you guys for joining me with the live this morning. I appreciate you. Or this afternoon. Oh, today has been a busy, busy day, and I got mostly everything done except for doing Instacart. I did not get a chance to do Instacart at 6 o'clock. I want to cook, so I do need to cook, and I did not get a chance to sweep the backyard. But other than that, all of the things that I said I wanted to do, I got done today. So today was a productive day. I hope you enjoyed your Friday. I hope you enjoyed your Juma. I hope you have a great weekend. You may see me tomorrow. Of course, you're probably going to see me tomorrow because I do a live almost every day, right? It just may not be for long. I might just do a workout. We'll see. But tomorrow is Saturday, and I think I want to go out and do some Instacart because my GoFundMe is still up, right? I am going to put the Zelle and the Cash App option for people that don't want to do GoFundMe if people want to donate. If not, like I said in my live this afternoon, Tay Tay, I can't wait for people. I appreciate people that donate, whether they donate or they don't, right? But in the end, I need to get this money up, and I don't want to take it out my savings. So I'm like, let me go out here and do some Instacart. I can't. Um, so let me go and do some Instacart because what do I know how to do? As an African American, we know how to go out and make legal money to handle our business, not going out here unaliving people to get their jewelry and sell it. So, Continental Africans, get your life, get your black friend, and learn American culture so you don't end up in prison for the rest of your life. So Kendall said, I need a GoFundMe for a pan of oxtails. I dropped down the stairs yesterday. I was on that brown liquor. Oh God. Oh man, I was out doing Instacart. I don't want to gain any weight for I'm trying to get rid of this trauma weight. So I am trying to s- um stay away from certain things, but if I'm drinking, I don't really drink brown liquor. Brown liquor gets me in trouble. I'm like, hey, boo. Mm-mm. But I will drink white liquor. But that's only when I'm going out dancing. If I'm going out to party, then can I get a vodka and Red Bull? And either a single shot or a double shot and water. And I'm on the dance floor. Just like that. No, let me stop. But I'm so sorry you dropped your oxtails. I am so sorry. That sucks because oxtails are not cheap. I don't eat beef, but I know that they were probably delicious. And I guess the only thing you could do is let the dog come and eat it up. It was the dog's Thanksgiving. Sorry about that. Um, but thank you all for joining me. And thank you for joining me for Friday Night Frights. And educate your foreign friends so they don't end up like the Senegalese, the Senegalese American that unalived the Gambian, or the Kenyan Chamir, where he ended up unalive for unaliving others. I'm just going to say, if you're a foreigner, learn the country that you're living in. Y'all don't want to learn America, but when we come to your country, you want us to learn your culture. And they don't know that a lot of things that happen in Gambia happen in the rest of the world, but they've never traveled. But you want to judge people that were educated by the white man, live with the white man. When I say live with, I'm talking about in the country. I'm talking about Black Americans. And then you want to judge us like you know more than us about our own country. When you make that detrimental mistake, you may end up in prison for the rest of your life, or you may end up unalive like Billy Chamirmir. Chamirmir. Billy Chamirmir. Thank you for joining me for another Friday Night Frights, and I will see you all next Friday. Next Friday, so let me just say this, between now and then, if you want to engage with me, which I would love when it comes to movies, right? If you can, check out American Refugee. I just finished that last night. And Mountain Head. And we're going to talk about the evolution of society, these movies, and how it relates to life in our lives. I'm not going to get into it tonight, but that's next Friday, and it's going to be popping. I might have a Wednesday for you all, and you're going to be like, these true crime stories will leave your mouth on the floor. And just remember, it's true, it's real, it has happened. Until next time, have a great evening.